Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is also a newbie. I have with me Jason Fremo. Did I say it correctly?
Fremo, you got it exactly right.
You're the branch manager of Academy Mortgages. Please tell everybody, we kind of know what we do, but just tell everybody about yourself and what's going on in the market right now.
I know, it's crazy, right?
It is.
Everybody talks mortgages, what's going on, what are interest rates. Well, my name is Jason Fremo. I've been doing this this is my 18th year now,
well,
right?
Congratulations.
So I've been doing it for a day or two. And, just got into the business a long time ago. I went and got a degree in finance. I thought who knew? I had no idea. It's a business degree, right? Mom and dad tell you to go to college, get a degree. So I came out and I found my way into the mortgage industry, and I ended up loving it. I have a real passion to serve people, and so there's a lot of information out there that is incorrect a lot of times. And I remember when I made the transition to start originating loans, it became a point of focus to make sure that I was bringing good information to the people that I was serving and really make my business about relationships. So that's how I got there. That's what I do, and just trying to do it 18 years later.
Well, you also said that you have a ton of stories that people wouldn't believe, that there's some people out there that you think would get a loan right away, and they don't. And
yes.
There's some people out there that you think would never get a loan, and they do.
Okay, do you want me to blow your mind? You want to hear a crazy story?
Let's do it.
I'm going to blow your mind.
I'm ready to blow my mind.
Okay, so this was like 2 years ago, right? And I got plenty more. I could tell you a ton of these, but this is the best story I have. I had a client who was referred to me. They actually got turned down by 6 different banks. Now, this isn't going to make sense to you because this client had perfect credit. We're talking about an 800 credit score. She was an emergency room physician, and she made $20,000 a month. She had $350,000 cash in the bank. She had no debt on her credit report, and she wanted to buy her first house. And the reason why she couldn't qualify is because in January of that year, the place that she worked for changed her from W-2 to 1099. So what happens in that situation in the mortgage world, doesn't matter how much money she makes, doesn't matter what she's got in the bank, she misses one box, and they say, hey, we don't have a 2-year history, so we don't know what your expenses are.
Isn't that amazing?
It's nuts. And so here's the question, right? This is the rhetorical question we should all be asking. Let's just pretend for 1 second that she quit her job. She went across the street to a new practice, and she made 50% of what she was making before. And so instead of making $20,000 a month, she made 10. But instead of her paycheck saying 1099 on it, it said W-2. Is now all of a sudden, is she a good risk for somebody to make a loan? And here's the silly question. For every other bank that declined her, the answer to that question was yes. They would have rather loaned her that money making half than what she was making just because of that one goofy thing. So that's why she got referred to me. The good news is it had a happy ending. I was able to make a loan for her. We were able to get it done. But it's a very, very tricky industry because people that you would think have no problems sometimes end up having issues.
And so it's all about getting to know them and their story.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. I know that your listeners, you have a lot of people who are investors. They're looking at different things. I guarantee you, some of them right now are listening to your program and they're thinking to themselves, man, I might really like to buy an investment property, but I'm self-employed, so I know how my taxes look. They're not easy. They're complicated. And sometimes the people who you would think might have the easiest time qualifying for home loans, sometimes they don't.
Well, we're live on Facebook, so I want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us, follow us, and then what we're going to do is share the show afterwards, and that's
Fantastic.
Really fun to do. I love doing that. I want to get out some information on you, okay? You do free consultations with everyone.
Absolutely.
You're statewide, and your website is yourlocalazlender.com. You can call him. His phone number is 602-282-0143. He's been doing it for 18 years, and he says that he has a passion to serve people. Okay, let's go into some of these things. So what is currently going on with the real estate and mortgage market right now?
My goodness, it's crazy, right? So it's interesting. Interest rates last year, second half of the year, were creeping up, right? And we've enjoyed low interest rates, historically low interest rates for a long time. And it's interesting because I started to hear people starting to get a little bit weird when rates were close to 5%.
People are weird all the time.
I know, right? I mean, when I broke into the business, they were 10%, and my mentors, they were telling me about days of like 18, 20%, and we're sweating 5%. But it's interesting with things going on in the economy. Rates have come down a little bit. We're back into the fours comfortably. And the other thing that's going on is it's still a fantastic real estate market to be able to purchase in. So, if you're a home buyer, specifically a first-time home buyer, it's a great time to still get a really low interest rate and pick up something before prices continue to rise.
Explain to them what a first-time home buyer is, because I know it's not just a first home buyer. So explain it, Lucy.
You know what? That's an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked that, because here's what mortgage companies do. Let me tell you what we do. We put programs out there and we talk about things like first-time homebuyer programs, right? Let me tell you what that is. That's a marketing program. It's designed to have people identify with the condition that they think that they're in, so they call us, right? And sometimes we have programs that work really well for them. Maybe they don't have down payment and it works really well. But sometimes they're a first-time homebuyer and it's another program that they go in. And here's the worst part. Sometimes people who have bought homes before think they don't qualify for a quote-unquote first-time homebuyer program. Well, they sure do, because first-time homebuyer, by and large, for the most part, it's a marketing term. So we have loan programs that fit everybody's need. If you've never bought a home before, if you bought a home 2 years ago, if it's the sixth one you've bought, you name it, we have an ability to figure out how to match you with the home of your dreams.
That's your tagline right there.
How about that, right? Did we just do that, Carol? Did we do that together?
His website is localazlender.com. His phone number is 602-282-0143. He does free consultations. He's been doing it for 18 years, and he has a passion to serve people. Now, I want to also talk to you a little bit about renting versus buying.
Absolutely. That's the best question to be asking right now.
What is the question?
So let me ask you this. Let's say you were buying a home for the first time. Let's ask Carol some questions. Shall we do this? If you were buying a home right now, would you have any interest in purchasing it with an adjustable rate mortgage that could potentially go up? Would you have interest in that?
Not necessarily.
Neither would I. That's a good answer, and that's what I was expecting you to say. See, here's what people don't understand who are out there in the rental markets right now. There's a shortage of inventory in Maricopa County. And anybody who's listening to this program who's rented over the last 2-3 years, every time your lease comes up, there's a really good chance that they're increasing your rent, right?
They do every year.
That's right, because market rents are on the rise. So here's what it is I'd suggest to you, right? If you're thinking about buying versus renting and you decide that renting is the safer play for you, I really want to challenge your thinking, because all you're signing up for is an adjustable payment on your housing. If you purchase a home, you put a 30-year fixed interest rate, which is exactly what we do, you have cost certainty. So that payment that you're making today will be the same payment pretty close 5 years from today. Whereas if you rent, you can almost guarantee yourself that within the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to pay more money for that exact same home. Why would you do that?
Well, there's a lot of people that are questioning on what to do with that. I think a lot of people don't realize they don't even question what their credit is. They think that,
Sure.
I just can't do that.
Sure.
But that's where you said on the first question, which is the first thing to do is at least have a conversation with you. Find out.
Most definitely.
Because you can actually help them get into their home.
No doubt. And here's the other thing that people do. I hear this often, right? They'll say things to me like, hey, you know what? I don't want you to pull my credit because I'm working on it. Well, here's the thing. If you ever went into a doctor and you were asking a doctor what was wrong with your health, you wouldn't want to self-diagnose yourself and decide what medications that you needed, right? So our job in the mortgage industry is to be professionals about everything about the mortgage process. Credit is one of those things, right? So yes, we want to take a look at your credit report, and yes, it costs an inquiry. But I'll tell you this, for my clients, the ones that I help who aren't quite credit qualified, we put them in positions to be credit qualified. I'll find you more points on your credit report than the cost of your inquiry, and I'll bet you I'll do it faster than you will, because it's what I work with every single day.
The number to call again is 602-282-0143. He does free consultations. He's statewide. His website is yourlocalazlender.com. Okay, we have a little bit of time before we go to a break, about 1 minute. What would be a story that you would want to tell him in less than a minute?
One story in less than a minute. I'll tell you what, and maybe we can pick this up after break, but I want to talk about the importance of having good, experienced people, because you want to be able to negotiate. I can tell you stories that are probably a little bit more than a minute about how people have saved thousands of dollars by having the right lender and real estate agent when it comes to negotiating a contract, right? So it's very, very important that you have the right representation. I can tell you specific stories about people that I know who've saved thousands of dollars.
Well, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, I want to hear some of the stories. People love stories.
Yes.
The number to call him is 602-282-0143. He's been doing it for 18 years. His website is yourlocalazlender.com. He does free consultations, and he's statewide. And he says his passion is to serve people. So welcome back, everyone. And we're talking to Jason Fremo, and he's the branch manager of Academy Mortgages. We were talking at the break that you said that it's just crazy out there with what's going on with the mortgage industry.
Yes.
And
yes.
that you were, before we went on a break, you said you had some stories that we were going to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
And the importance of having the right somebody that...
Most definitely. It's interesting. Professional representation when it comes to buying a home, let's think about it. It's the single largest investment that most people will make in their lifetime, right? And a lot of times, especially with some of these new forces coming into the market, the open doors, the offer pads, what customers aren't realizing is that these businesses are actually, when they're making offers on your homes, they're negotiating against you, because every dollar that they end up spending less for your home, they win, and it's one more dollar not in your pocket, right? So I work with a lot of real estate agents who work on behalf of the homeowner. They negotiate on their behalf. And one of the best stories that I can think of is I work with several good real estate agents. The best ones are the best negotiators. We had a customer who was purchasing a home. This was 2 months ago, and the appraisal came back and it came in short. And in real estate, that happens. It was about $4,000 short. And the buyer was really stressed out about this $4,000 because it was the difference between being able to purchase their home and not purchase their home. And so the agent that I worked with, we dialogued back and forth how we were going to handle the negotiation. So what ended up happening is they called back the listing agent and they said, hey, listen, it came in short. We need you to lower the price by $4,000. They said immediately what we thought that they were going to say, well, hey, listen, can we split this? Can your buyer do it? We said no. He said, I think this deal is going to fall out. Well, what my agent did and what we did as part of our team is we said, you know what? Well, maybe that's going to have to happen. We're going to go look for a different home. We hung up the phone and let it be what it is. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. Just because you say that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't going to pay that. In fact, they were probably prepared to figure out a way to make that happen. But sure enough, 2 hours later, we get a phone call back from the listing agent saying that they would agree to reduce that sales price by $4,000. So, because we had the right experience and the right team on the side of our home buyer, they kept $4,000 in their pocket that they wouldn't have if we hadn't been negotiating on their behalf.
His phone number is 602-282-0143. It's yourlocalazlender.com. It's beautiful here right now, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
And we just, especially right now, the whole world is watching us right now because we have the open here. And so where do they want to move to? But Arizona.
Absolutely.
Scottsdale, Arizona, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to live here. And so people that are listening here, there's a good reason to live here, obviously. And also, there's a great reason not to rent.
Yes,
anymore, right?
Absolutely.
And the best thing to do, no matter what, is to have a free consultation and tell them your story. That's what it starts with. It tells what's going on. What are you thinking about doing? Are you a first-time home buyer? Where are you at in life?
Exactly. See, because that story tells us which way it is that we want to go. Because here's a fundamental truth about mortgages that a lot of time our industry ignores. Every single situation is different. There is no one-size-fits-all approach for anything. So you might have two first-time home buyers, and they can have completely different situations. And the problem is an industry, what we do is we market to groups of people. And the problem when we do that is we marginalize some people who don't think they have access to credit who actually do. So I want to know your story. I want to know what your budget is. I want to know where your kids want to go to school. I like to tell my clients this. I'm not in the transaction business. If we get to close a loan, that's absolutely fantastic. But I make a practice of being in the relationship business, because if I get to know you, then I really have the ability to match up a loan program that's not going to serve you today, but tomorrow and for years to come with your family.
Phone number 602-282-0143. It's yourlocalazlender.com. He's been doing it for 18 years. He does free consultations, and he's statewide. He's got a passion to serve people. Now, let me ask you this. If someone's looking to buy, what is a question that you may not think to ask that you would think that they should ask?
Oh, that's a most excellent question. And I think it has to go back to what type of experience and what can you do for me in terms of negotiation? Because here's what people don't think about and they don't talk about. The team that you surround yourself with, both real estate agent and lending professional, work together to negotiate the best deal for you. So when we dialogue how we're going to build your loan, we have the latitude to build, fees and how we're going to structure that, whether it's an interest rate or not, whether or not we're going to ask the seller to pay closing costs. Those are functions of the negotiation. And here's the thing. If your lender and your real estate agent aren't talking, you're going to leave money on the table. And people don't think to ask that because they think the real estate agents exclusively negotiate that contract. And while there is truth to that, they do it because they have a good team around them that dialogues the specific situation of the client. So if you're working with a real estate professional or a lender, you need to be talking about how well those two people are communicating with each other, because if they're not, you have the opportunity not to get the best deal that you possibly can.
Someone's out there right now with a loan that's maybe not going through, or that's they're on the fence with it. Can they call you and get like a second opinion or anything like that? Can you help them?
Absolutely. That's my favorite thing to do. And here's the thing, again, right? I like to say this. I'm in the relationship business, okay? If you call me, you have a situation, and your best deal is with who it is that you're already working with, that's fantastic. You should continue working with them, and I'll advise my clients to do that. So my business primarily, it's predicated on referral. And I've always found the people that I have relationships, they're the ones who refer me. So some of my best clients, I've actually never even closed a loan for. They came just like you're talking about to get a second opinion. I confirmed that they were on the right track. I maybe gave them some questions to ask their professional. By the time they got done, they said, Jay, you're a guy we feel like we can trust. And I've gotten more referrals from some people that I never closed a loan for than some people that I have.
Phone number 602-282-0143. He does free consultations. He's statewide. And his website is yourlocalazlender.com. I want to talk to you about some of the programs. We have a few minutes. I want to just go on with that, okay? So there are a lot of different programs out there.
There are.
What's hot right now?
So I'll tell you what, here's one program that I'm really excited about, and this talks about our investor community and our self-employed borrower who maybe doesn't have the greatest tax returns or whatever. I have loan programs where you can qualify without providing me tax returns or income documents. They will qualify those programs based off the market rent of the property that they're purchasing. So imagine being in a situation where you could pick up a house, and it's not some huge crazy down payment, 20%, 25%, and not having to provide income documentation because you have complicated tax returns. So that's a fantastic program that works for a lot of different people. I have a 100% financing program for first-time home buyers with no mortgage insurance. So from first-time home buyer to investor, there's just so many of them. I wish we had more time. I could tell you crazy things, but those are two examples.
Well, I wanted to say, when you were talking about a self-employed person, and there's a lot of them right now, because especially the older generation, because so much has happened in the last several years where now people lost their jobs and they started their own businesses, and it's wonderful to start your own business and to be an entrepreneur. It's just great. But there's a lot of things that aren't so great that come along with that, right? And it's a great way for them to be able to make do some of the things that they never thought they could do.
Absolutely, most definitely. And here's the other thing. There's some confusion people have about being self-employed and how those tax returns work. Here's what a lot of people don't know. They assume because they take a lot of deductions or write-offs that they won't be able to qualify. I have the ability to look at your tax return, take that net income number, and there are things that I have the ability to add back. So just because you think that maybe you've written off more income than you should, or maybe that's a reason why you can't qualify, it's not. And that's why it's important to talk to a professional who understands tax returns and how it can work for you qualifying for a home loan.
So the first thing is just a phone call.
That's exactly it.
Now, let me ask you this, too. It's been like this quite often now since, what the crash happened.
Yes.
People that are looking for homes, and I know it's the beautiful weekend, so everybody's going to be out there looking at homes this weekend. Do they have to call you first and make sure that they're pre-qualified before they get in that realtor's car?
It's always the best idea, right? Because you want to have the right expectation when you go to take a look, right? And here's the reason why most people don't do that. As human beings, here's the truth. We buy emotionally and we justify logically, right? The problem is sometimes when we let our emotions get the best of us, we find ourselves in situations that later are uncomfortable, right? And so the best thing to do is always to know what your buying power is, so that when you start that process, you can be very organized and you can make sure that you hit the mark for your budget before you find something that you absolutely love too much and decide that you're going to make sacrifices that later you might regret. So the best advice 100% of the time is to always find out what you can qualify for, what those terms are, and set your budget before you start looking for those homes.
Well, the first thing to do is make a call. That's what he said. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call him at 602-282-0143. 0143. He does free consultations. He's statewide. He's been doing this for 18 years, and he's got a passion to serve people, and you sound it. You know what your stuff.
I appreciate that, Carol.
You can
Thank
really
you.
tell. So his website, you want to check it out. It's yourlocalazlender.com. So tell everybody what your final words would be for today.
My final words would be, you know what? It's a great time. It's a great market. It's something that you can not be ashamed to take advantage of. So it doesn't matter what your situation is. You can have access to it. Talk to the right person. I'd love to be that person. And let's come up with a plan to get you into a home.
The number to call him again, it's 602-282-0143. It's yourlocalazlender.com. He's been doing it for 18 years, and he has a passion to serve people.